welcome to division using the Halloween story. There are a few rules for us to remember before we get into this dangerous, spooky story of Halloween. Yes, but division needs it. Division needs to use it. It recalls all his experiences while trick-or-treating. But remember these things. A greater spooky number outside the door makes dividends pair up. So they all come together, they close in, they create a team, and they work against the divisor together. A small acute number outside the door can be managed with a single dividend at a time. So a small cute number outside the door, not so spooky, cute little thing can be managed by a single dividend. The story does not end until all dividends are taken care of. You will know what I mean. Let's go. Let's start with our first example. 37 divided by 2 equals how much? Now, as you clearly know, in this question, 37 is your dividend. 2 is your, that's right, divisor. And what's missing, or what are we supposed to find? Correct, the quotient. Fantastic. Now, if you remember the division house, which I'm sure you do, in the division house, this is what I love to call the division house. Some people draw it like this, some people draw it like this, some people draw it like this, where this is where the quotient goes, this is where the divisor goes, this is where the dividend goes. If someone loves to draw it like this is again where the quotient goes, this is where the divisor goes, the naughty one who's always outside, and this is where the dividend goes as well. But in this case, this is where the dividend goes, this is where the divisor goes, that doesn't change, but quotient goes on this side. Yeah, everybody has their own ways, but that's absolutely fine, whichever one you want to use, as far as you placing them in the correct spot in the division house. I usually prefer this one, so I'm going to keep using this, but you are free to use whichever one you want. So I'm going to put the numbers in the division house. Dividend is 37. Dividend is the lazy guy, always inside the house, 37. Divisor is 2, the naughty one, always outside the house. We're going to keep him there. And quotient is what comes here, but we need to find the quotient. That's what we are working towards. Okay, so here comes the Halloween story. So 2 walks up the stairs and knocks at the door of division house. Trick or treat. So 3 decides to get up and look through the peephole on the door and sees that it's 2. Now it thinks 2 is a small cute number because 3 is greater than 2. Correct? 3 is greater than 2. So 3 is not scared of 2 at all. So 3 says, I will work with this. I will do the division here by myself. So 3 opens the door and the division happens. We look for 3 in the 2 times table. You know what comes to our rescue at this point? Not Superman. Unfortunately, not Spider-Man or woman. Or just let's stick with multiplication. So we go to our multiplication times tables to figure out if 3 falls in the 2 times table. If not, we will see what we can do about it. So 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times 2, fantastic, 4. 2 times 3, 6. 2 times 4, 8. 2 times 5, 10. 2 times 6, very good. 2 times 7, 2 times 8, 2 times 9, 2 times 10, 2 times 11, 2 times 12, 24. Fabulous. So you must know the times tables from 1 to 12 for each digit. So now we need to look for 3, only 3, because as I said, 3 is not scared of 2. 3 wants to work with 2 by himself. So we're looking only for 3 in the 2 times table. Okay, so we cannot use a greater number, which is 6, or we cannot use a great number, which is 4, to subtract from 3. Why? Because that is then called the planet Mars math. Because subtraction does not work like this. You cannot subtract a greater number from a smaller number. This is Mars math. We don't do it on Earth. Right? So we need to go for a number which is smaller than 3, but closer to it as well. Any guesses? Fabulous. 2 itself, because the number is smaller and closest to the dividend. Correct? Your dividend at this point is a single digit 3. 2 times 1 is 2. You're going to subtract that. 3 minus 2 is 1. And that's where you finish your work with 3. But is the question done? You're right. No. Remember the third line here. The story does not end until all dividends are taken care of. Do you have any extra dividends here that you haven't worked with already yet? Yes, we have the number 7, which has not been used in the question. So what we do is we bring 7 down and he joins the conversation. He's pretty curious, I have been told. So now the new dividends that you have is 17. Not 3 anymore. It's 17. This is your new dividend. Now we go back to the times tables. And we are going to look for 17 in the 2 times table. And if we don't find it, we know what to do. Let's go. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Oh, okay, wait a minute. We do have a number 16, which can go. We do have a number 18 as well. But now I'm confused which one to use. Should I use 16 or should I use 18? Clearly, if I want to do planet Mars math, then I would use 18 because 18 is a greater number than 17 and you cannot subtract a greater number from a smaller number, which is 17, right? So we're going to go for a smaller, as the rule says, smaller and closest number to the new dividend. Correct? Our new dividend is 17. The smaller and closest number is 16. So 2 times what is 16? 2 times 8. So 8 goes up in the quotient. 2 times 8 is 16. You subtract that from 17. If you don't know how to subtract 2-digit numbers, you can take it one place value at a time. So 7 minus 6 is 1. 1 minus 1 is 0. So your quotient is 18. Your remainder is 1. That's your answer. So to revisit this equation, 37 divided by 2 equals, as you know, the quotient is always your answer, 18. Easy peasy? Not bad, right? So just to recap before we move on to some more examples, you are going to put the dividend in the division house, the divisor in the division house as well. You know, he's always on the outside. We are looking for the quotient in this question. So we have to first see if the first digit in the dividend is smaller or greater than the divisor. If it's greater than the divisor, which is outside the house, you can split up the number as 3 and 7. So 2 separate dividends. Remember, once you are done subtracting the dividend from 3, you have a remainder. You will bring down the next digit in the dividend. As we said here, the story does not end until all dividends are taken care of. Because here there's no number after 7. We've worked with all the dividends present or given to you in the question. That's why we stopped and we wrote remainder as 1 and we stopped the question. We stopped the question there because we found the answer. That's your answer. We are not using decimals here, so we're only going to go until when the dividends allow us. Okay? Now let's try another one. Let's go with I'm going to keep this here to refer to the steps. Let's go with 53 divided by 4. Again, as we know in this question, 53 is the dividend, 4 is the divisor, and the question mark is where you have to write your quotient, because that's what we have to find. Next thing what we do, we put the numbers in the division house. This is our division house. Our lazy dividend goes in here, 53. Our Mr. Divisor is outside the door, which is 4, and we have to find the quotient. The next step we're going to do is we're going to see the first digit of our dividend. The first digit of our dividend is number 5. Now, as I said, 4 is super curious and is all dressed up in a Halloween costume, walks up to the door of 53 and gives it a nice hard knock. Trick or treat. So 5 is curious. 5 walks up to the door, looks through the peephole and sees, okay, it's 4. 5 says, I'm not scared because 5 is greater than 4. So what is 4 going to do to me anyway? It's harmless completely. It's a cuter, smaller number than me. So I can deal with it on my own. So because 5 is a greater number than 4, you are going to look at 5 separately and 4 separately in your question. You're not going to work with them as 53. You're only going to work first with 5 and then with 3. Let's go. Back to our times tables, as you know, guys. Let's go. 4 is a divisor, so we go with the 4 times tables. 4 times 1 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. 4 times 3 is 12. 4 times 4 is 16. 4 times 5 is 20. 4 times 6 is 24. 4 times 7 is 28. 4 times 8 is 32. 4 times 9, messy, 36. 4 times 10, 40. 4 times 11, 44. 4 times 12, 48. We have to look for 5, the single digit 5 in the 4 times tables. Now, because we don't have the exact number 5, we're going to go for a number which is smaller and closest to 5 in the 4 times tables. So here we can see that 4 is the only number which is smaller and closest to 5. We can't use 8 because, as I said, you cannot subtract 8 from 5. The planet Mars math, which we do not do on this planet Earth. Once you visit Mars, sure, maybe. Let me know how that goes. Okay, so we're going to circle this. We're going to use 4 times 1. 4 times 1, so you'll write 1 as the quotient is 4. You subtract that from 5. 5 minus 4 is 1. But our question is not over because we have another dividend waiting for us here. A very curious one who comes down and joins the conversation. Now your new dividend is 13, not 3 only, because you had a remainder from the first digit dividend that you subtracted. So you're going to look at 13 as the number now, not 3 or not separately 1. Same thing, same drill. You have to look for 13, which is a new dividend in your 4 times tables. We don't have the exact number, but we have to go for the smaller and closest, which is 12 in this case. As you know, we cannot use 16, we cannot use 8. You might argue that 4 and 8 are also smaller. That's absolutely correct, but they are not the closest to 13, because if we divide using 8 as our dividend, it's not going to work, and the division is not going to be fair. So we have to go for the smaller and closest. 4 times 3 is 12. 4 times 3, so 3 goes in the quotient, is 12. You subtract that from the dividend that you had. If you do not know 13 minus 12, you split it up as 3 minus 2 is 1 and 1 minus 1 is 0. So your quotient is 13. Remainder is 1. You can write 0, 1 or 1. That's not a problem. To rewrite our equation up here, or rather to complete it, 53 divided by 4 equals your quotient, which is 13. Fabulous. That's your answer. Yep. Good, good. Question number, this was 2, this is 3. 26 divided by 2 equals how much? Now first identify what you have. We know this is Mr. Dividend. This is Mr. Divisor. We have to find the quotient. Correct. Now we put it in the division house. The dividend, the lazy one, goes here on the couch. The divisor, sorry, I'm being a little more particular about this. The divisor is 2, which goes here, and we have to find the quotient. Again, going back to the Halloween story, 2 is nicely dressed up and comes to the door of 26 and goes, trick or treat. So 2, the one inside, the dividend, walks up to the door, peeks through the peephole and says, okay, so I have a person outside who was of the same value as me, right? No one's greater, no one's smaller. So guess what? Because they're equal in value, nobody's scared of anybody here. We go about the transaction. We don't need 6 in this case right now. So we look at only 2 in the 2 times table. So as I said, times tables to the rescue. 2 times 1 is 2. Hey, guess what? We found the quotient. 2 times 1 is 2. We found it. So we can stop here for now. 2 times 1, so 1 will go up in the quotient space, is 2. We subtract that, we get a remainder of 0. Are we done with the question? Can we rejoice and celebrate just yet? Correct, absolutely not, because we still have a dividend left, number 6. We cannot finish the question, or the question will not be considered complete unless and until you have all the dividends taken care of. Yeah, taken care of. So this is our new dividend, as you know. Now we need to look for this Mr. New Dividend in the 2 times table. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times 3 is 6. 2 times 4. Oh, you're right. We spotted it already. Because it's the same number, we don't need to worry about a smaller or and closest, because we have the exact same number in the times table. So let's just use it, because why not, right? So 2 times 3, so 3 goes up in the quotient, is 6. You're going to subtract that from your new dividend. 6 minus 6 is 0. 0 minus 0 is 0. And here is a happy face. Yeah, you remember that. So quotient is 13. Remainder is 0. And to complete the equation that we have up here, 26 divided by 2 equals 13. Remember, quotient is always your answer. Right? Fantastic. For our next example, number 4, we are going to look at the third type of divisors and dividends. Okay? So we're going to look for a number. We're going to look at a number where the divisor is greater than the first digit of the dividend. So we know what to do in that case. Let's look at the question. 65 divided by 9 equals how much? Let's identify what we have already. 65 is the dividend. 9 is the divisor. And we have to look for the quotient. Fantastic. The next step, as you know, we place these guys in the division house. Okay, I Don't know why I'm doing this. $65 is the dividend, 9 is the divisor. As I told you, it's the Halloween story, so 9 comes all dressed up in this unique and crazy Halloween costume, very spooky. It's very, very scary and spooky for everyone. Walks up the steps and goes, trick or treat. So 6 comes outside or comes to the door to look through the peephole and gets super spooked. So 6 is like, no, I can't do this because 9 is greater than 6. So 6 is not able to handle the situation herself or itself. So 6 decides to ask for help. So the next dividend that is present says, don't you worry, we will team up for this. So now you're going to look at the new dividend as 65. Not 6 separately or 5 separately anymore. You're going to look for 65 as one number here. All right, same steps, but instead of looking for 6 only, we're looking for the number 65. How do we do that? Where do we look for our dividend? In our times tables. That's mostly their hiding space. And guess what? Everybody knows that. That's where everybody goes looking for them. So, yeah, it's not a secret. Let's use the 9 times tables. 9 times 1 is 9. 9 times 2. Very good. 9 times 3. 9 times 4. 9 times 5. 9 times 6. 9 times 7. 9 times 8. 9 times 9. 9 times 10. 9 times 11, 9 times 12. Alrighty? Okay, so let's look for 65 in the 9 times tables. Okay, so we don't have the exact number 65, so what's the trick we need to follow? Exactly. We go for the number which is smaller but closest to the dividend. The dividend in this case is 65. So we have to look for 63. We can't use 72 because 65 is a smaller number than 72 and we cannot subtract a greater number from a smaller number. As I said, that is planet Mars math. We cannot do that here. So 9 times 7 is 63. We have to put 7 up as the quotient. Now, as you already know, we have been doing this already. Because it's a single digit quotient, and you're looking at all the dividends, you have to place the quotient above the units number, not above the tens number. Okay, here we place a 0. 9 times 7 is 63. About the placement, you already know, we have discussed this. If not, we will look at the video I've made on this to explain that. 5 minus 3 is 2. 6 minus 6 is 0. So your quotient is 7. Remainder is 2. You could write 07 or 7, 02 or 2. It's not a problem. And to fill in the equation, 65 divided by 9 equals 7. Yep. All right, let's look at one more example, which is similar to this third situation, where we have the numbers 78 divided by 8 equals how much? As we know, we are going to first identify what we have. We have Mr. Dividend, 78. We have Mr. Divisor, 8. We have quotient. Well, actually, we don't have quotient, but we have to find quotient, right? So let's put the numbers in the division house carefully this time. Yeah, that's for me, not for you. Dividend goes inside the house, 78. Divisor goes outside, the naughty guy, that is 8. we have to find the quotient. Now 8 comes all dressed up and knocks at the door of the division house. Trick or treat! As usual, 7 being closest to the door, gets up, goes, peeks through the peephole, and gets spooked out. Why? Because the divisor, which is outside the door, is greater than the first digit inside the door. That is the dividend. So 7 gets all spooked out, and 7 says, no, I need help, I need help. 8, which is next to it in the dividend, on the dividend count rather, yeah, sometimes they share the couch, you see, comes to its rescue, says, don't worry, we will work as a team. So now you're looking at 78 as your new dividend, not 7 separately and 8 separately anymore. They're working together, so 78. Same thing, we look for 78 in the 8 times tables. 8 times 1 is 8. 8 times 2 is 16. 8 times 3 is 24. 8 times 4 is 32. 8 times 5, 40. 8 times 6, 48. 8 times 7, 56. 8 times 8, 64. 8 times 9, 72. 8 times 10, 80. 8 times 11, 88. 8 times 12, 96. Perfect. Now we're looking for 78 in the 8 times tables. We don't have the exact number, but we do have a number which is smaller but closest to 78, which is 72 in this case. Again, as I said, because your quotient will be a single digit, it has to be above the units place and it cannot be above the tens place because you'll put a 0 here. 8 times 9 is 72 minus minus. 8 minus 2 is 6. 7 minus 7 is 0. So your quotient is 9. Your remainder is 6. To complete this equation, 78 divided by 8 equals the quotient, which is 9. Fantastic. This is your answer. Yep. So please remember that if the first digit of your dividend is smaller than the divisor outside the house, the dividends pair up together. The first two pair up together. In a situation like this, where the number outside the house, which is the divisor, is smaller than the first digit of your dividend inside the house, then it can take care of itself and you're going to look at both the digits in the dividend separately. So you'll work with 3 first. So you look for 3 in the 2 times table. You're going to work it out. 2 times 1 is 2. Subtract that. Bring the dividend down because we still have a dividend remaining. Remember, the story does not end until all dividends are taken care of. Yes. So unless and until no dividend is left, you have to keep going in your question until you find an answer.